Hey everyone, welcome to Adventure RC1. My name is Greg and I'm on location at this beautiful skate park on this beautiful sunny day. It's a little windy and a little cool, but we've got the whole entire park to ourselves. Today, I'm going to be running the Arrma Gorgon. Let's get a close-up look at this before we start jumping it in the skate park. I've got mine in all black, which means this was the RTA version, the ready to assemble. So as I put it together, I got to really know how all of the pieces and parts fit together. This is a two-wheel drive monster truck. There's no exposed clips across the top. There's two hidden clips underneath the body. The body just pops right off with a little bit of a wiggle, and the clips are tethered to the body. Underneath is an all-in-one speed controller and receiver. Underneath the transmission cover is an access point for adjusting the slipper clutch. On the back side, I've got these nice long travel oil-filled coilover shocks. On the front end, I have the same treatment. The main chassis is all enclosed, keeping a lot of dust and debris out of the kit, which means I spend more time running and less time cleaning up after a run. And located underneath is the battery door. And here's the battery that I'm running today. It's the one that comes with the kit. It's a 7-cell nickel metal hydrate battery. On all four corners, I've got these monster truck inspired tires that do a great job of climbing over most terrain. In the first video that I made on this kit, I was running around on my blacktop driveway. It was cold out and the driveway was a little bit wet, and these didn't have a lot of grip on that. But since then, I've been running on sand and dirt, and these actually have a phenomenal amount of grip. Quick look at the controller, never mind the GoPro mount that I've got on the top. My adult hand, it does fit this controller. However, I do find that the grip is a little bit smaller. I think that this grip would be perfect for a younger driver. The steering wheel has a nice foam wheel. Throttle control is nice and responsive. I've got steering trim, steering rate for adjusting the endpoint. On the back, I have the steering reverse and then a three-way selector switch to go from 50% throttle, 75% throttle, and 100% throttle, which is what I'll be running today. And of course, the power button. Those are just some of the details on this kit. If you'd like to know more, check out the first video where I go into a lot more depth on this kit. I'll have a link to that video down in the video description. I think the best thing I like about this kit is when I got it, it was around $200, proving you don't have to spend a lot of money on an RC kit to go and have a lot of fun. And speaking of fun, I'm going to be running this around in the skate park in just a second. Now, I talked a lot about what I like about the kit. After I'm done going through the skate park here and having a ton of fun, I'm going to talk about some of the things I think I would like to change on the kit. And I'll be looking for some of your input on that. But we've looked at the kit, I've talked about the kit. Now let's go have some fun with the Arrma Gorgon. Oh, that's a bad sound. I'm gonna have to take this back to the shop and figure out what I broke on my truck. Well, it's disappointing that I couldn't get more of a run in and show you more of the truck in action out at that skate park. That rough concrete out there is also evident of what it did to the truck. Now, the truck did flip over a couple of times and it skidded a little bit, but not that far. And it just started digging into this nice clean body that I had on here. It doesn't look too bad, but come and check it out. The other thing that I saw when I got back to the shop here, where it's just not so bright like it was over at the skate park, is all the treads on the tire, they're like purple. It's really weird. Come check it out. Oh, look at that. That's kind of weird, isn't it? Just look at what that concrete did to the front of the truck, a little bit on the roof here, actually quite a bit, and then the spoiler on the back. It just chewed all of that up. All right, let's dive inside and see what's going on with the transmission. The only clue that I've got is when I roll the vehicle back and forth, all I hear is the tire tread. I don't hear anything going on with the transmission. The other thing I like about this black kit is that it is the ready-to-assemble version, so I've already got a good idea of what everything looks like if my memory serves me well, because I had to put all of the stuff back together back here. The other thing that I'll do is I'll get the battery disconnected. And to sidetrack real quick, having to put the connector inside underneath the truck and then fit the connector and the battery and get the cover back on. When I first started using this truck, I thought that was a really cool feature, but I'm finding it's kind of a really pain in the butt to fit the connector in there. So as a part of figuring out what's going on with the transmission, I'm going to take the speed controller and move it ahead one spot, which is going to open up a little compartment so that the battery connector can be pushed out of the battery compartment and up in this area here, making putting the tray on the truck so much easier. All right, let's stop getting distracted here, Greg, and find out what's going on inside. And I think a great place to start is to take off this slipper clutch cover. All right, I don't have all day to fiddle with these little Allen tools that came with the kit, so I'm gonna get my own tool set out and get a drill driver and let's speed this up. Let's see if we can catch the light just right. So the first thing I want to do is check out this spur gear, and I'm seeing that there's really no damage to it. Yeah, it looks in pretty good condition. The other thing I'm going to check for is that the pinion gear is tightly attached to the motor, and that looks good too. However, we see that there's just no engagement. So I think on one of the hard landings that I did, the whole motor, it just shifted back and completely disengaged the spur gear, which I guess in this scenario is the best thing that could have ever happened. No parts were damaged, the motor slipped out of the way, and all I have to do is re-engage that pinion gear back up to the spur gear, and I'm ready to rock and roll again. What I'm going to look for, you probably already know this, but if you don't, I just want to have a little bit of wiggle in this spur gear. And that's what I've got. And I can go back and tighten these two screws down. Now that those are snugged up, I'll recheck. Still a little bit of a gap in there, which is what I'm looking for. And I'll put the final tight on these two screws. I never knew filming this stuff was so difficult. I'm doing this like backwards and upside down so that you've got the front row seat to all of this. And this time I put a little bit extra tight to make sure that that motor doesn't shift while I'm out running the truck for all of you. That looks good, and I can get this cover back on. Maybe. There we go. I use the drill driver to put those screws in most of the way and then do the final tight by hand. That way I don't accidentally strip out these little screws. All right, moment of truth. Do I have happy transmission noises? There we go. That sounds normal. That looks good. The last thing I need to do is move this combination radio and ESC forward one spot so that I can get that battery connector to come out up in this upper area. Here's that access point that I was talking about. Now the connector can fit all the way through. Once again, power tools to the rescue. I've had the truck a couple weeks now, so I think it's now time where I can cut these safety tags off some of these wires. Now when I put the battery in, this goes a lot easier. The next thing I think I might be buying for this truck is a 2-cell LiPo battery, and I'm pretty sure that this connector will not fit in that battery compartment with that LiPo battery, so this was something I was going to be doing anyways. The truck's all back together and ready to run. If I ever have any questions or I'm confused about something on the truck, I can always revert back to the literature that comes with the Gorgon on how to dig inside and get anything fixed. Now, at the beginning of the video, I talked about all the things I like about this truck, and now that we're at the back end of the video, there's a couple things I want to change on this truck. I already did one of them by moving the speed controller receiver forward so that I can get the battery connector outside of that battery compartment. The other thing that I'd like to do is demonstrated right here. This thing really squats down. The suspension is really soft and squishy, and when I had this out off camera, every time I went over even the smallest of jumps, the suspension would always bottom out. I know the kit came with these preload clips that go on the tops of all the shocks. In fact, I'm going to put that on, but I'd like to know from all of you, what would you recommend for going to a harder spring on all four corners of the Arrma Gorgon? The last thing I want to change or upgrade on this truck is the differential in here. I already went in there and took the differential apart. It's only packed with grease, so the differentials were really, really loose. While I had it apart, I took just some generic silicone oil that I had and I put it in there. That silicone oil was for O-rings, I think, and it didn't really list what weight of oil, but I want to go back into that differential and actually put some proper diff oil in there. So my question for all of you that are way more experienced with this than I am, what weight of oil do you recommend for the diff on the Arrma Gorgon? Let me know down below in the comments. Since I'm putting these clips in, I don't want to change the shock oil on this. I do have some experience in the past, about 10 years ago, with RC vehicles, and I don't think that there's anything wrong with plastic shocks. What I found though is when we start to stiffen up plastic shocks, it just can't handle it anymore, especially once we change the weight of the shock oil, and then the top caps start blowing apart and it just makes a big mess. And I just want to keep this relatively stock, and already this looks pretty good. It's all fixed and I'm ready to take it out once again. When I woke up this morning, I was really excited because today I was planning on taking this truck over to that skate park. I rounded up all of my camera equipment, way too much camera equipment to haul to that skate park. And I was really disappointed when the truck broke so early into the run. I wanted to play with it some more and I wanted to share a lot more of that footage with all of you. However, rather than get mad and get down on this beautiful sunny day, I came back to the shop here and we took a look at what it took to fix this, which was basically nothing at all, which was pretty lucky for me. I didn't have to spend any money to get this truck up and running. While that park was pretty neat, I don't think I'm going to be going back there with this truck anytime soon. I know with that motor tightened down, I could go over a lot more jumps. However, it's that concrete out there. Every time the truck flipped over, it was like sandpaper going across this, and I don't want to wreck this nice looking body. I realize that using an RC truck, they do get damaged a little bit and they do get marked up, and I totally understand that, but I don't want to spend any more money on this than I need to, and that's primarily because I am self-employed. When I got this truck, it was around $200, and you know what, for me, $200 is a lot of money. Join me in the next video where I take this out on my property because now the snow is all melted and I've got some pretty cool jumps that this thing is just going to eat up. Thanks for joining me in this video. Don't forget to give it a like, subscribe, or ring that notification bell. Not only does it help this channel grow, it's an awesome way to connect video content like this with other great RC enthusiasts just like you. Well, until I see you again in the next video, keep on rolling.